On a bit of a whim the other day, I opened up the Notes app on my phone and I typed out these words. Franklin Graham's prayer sounded like Christianity. Mariann Budde's message sounded like Jesus. That's weird, right? Right? I screenshotted it and I uploaded it to Instagram and Facebook, and then I added this for the caption. I said, most of you will immediately know what I mean because this contrast is blindingly obvious. And how devastating is that? Why does so much of what passes for Christianity today sound so very, very little like what Jesus actually taught? From Matthew chapter 7, verse 22. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And in your name drive out demons? And in your name perform many miracles? And then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evil doers. And then I put hashtag keep the Christ in Christianity. Within about an hour or so, this became one of the most liked and shared posts that I've had on social media in quite some time. And what the meme that I made the other day, what it pointed out is that, at least according to my ears, and evidently many people who liked and shared it as well, what we heard from Franklin Graham at the presidential inauguration sounded a lot like a kind of Christianity that many of us are accustomed to. And it also sounded very, very different from the message that Bishop Mariann Budde gave at the Washington Cathedral the following day. And in my ears, Bishop Budde's message sounded very resonant to the kinds of things that Jesus was about. Like her words sounded like she had access to and actually utilized the written accounts of kids 2 and 3. But Franklin Graham's, I'm sure kid number 20 was nodding along with delighted approval to his prayer. Meanwhile, kid number 1 was left scratching his head, mortified at how distorted his message has become. So you might at this point be asking, how is it that something can sound, on one hand, like Christianity without also sounding like Jesus? Like, how is that possible? So let's turn to that now. For starters, I'm going to admit that this idea that something can sound Christian but not sound like Jesus, it might be foreign and it might even seem absurd to people who are more conservative minded. But for those of us on, I don't know, pick a label. I don't really care what label you pick. Is it post-evangelical, ex-evangelical, deconstructed, progressive Christian, whatever. For those of us on this side, this kind of sentiment actually gets at the heart of why so many have left the church, began their deconstruction, whatever. There's a quote that you might be familiar with. It's often attributed to Gandhi, although if he really said it is not really, we don't really have documentation of it, but something along the lines of, there's an expression of fondness for Jesus, but not so much for Christians. And the implication is that the desire would be for Christians to more closely resemble the one that they claim to follow. And I don't know a single person who has left evangelical Christianity that wouldn't agree with that sentiment. But increasingly, we live in a world where this chasm between so much of what passes for Christianity and the life and the teachings of Jesus have become uncomfortably immense. The chasm has. It's like we're living in the upside down, where a famous Christian leader like Franklin Graham can be on the largest national platform, offer up a prayer, and ultimately it sounds nothing like Jesus. How is this possible? Okay,